Welcome to the Crush It in Sales podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet. This podcast focuses on the intersection of sales, leadership, and personal development. Now let's get ready to dig in and crush it. Hi everyone, welcome. I have been on a roll since COVID started doing lots of interviews, and it's been a great experience. There's always good things and bad things that happen with anything you do or any place you live or any job you have or any relationship. Let's just be real. But in general, I've really liked doing all these interviews because I've learned a lot. And I think what I'm going to do is a podcast that takes and splices my favorite pieces from some of those episodes and puts them together for you. But that'll take some time, so not doing that today. I do have a fabulous interview coming up on Tuesday that I'm super excited for. And I was going to air that this week, but I think I might pass because I just got back from my morning walk. It's Sunday morning, and I really try to clear my head when I walk. I usually listen to content for the first half hour, and the second half hour, I just try to be mindful. And if you listen to my other podcast, The Good Karma Success Coach, I do talk about that a lot. But on my second part of my walk, I don't know why, I just really started getting fired up and thinking about leadership and sales and everything that's going on out there and how I'm starting to see change, but the change is just so surface level. And what I really want to share is some examples. And if you are one of those leaders or one of those managers or one of those business owners that are just doing these surface level things, I ask you to just stop. Stop, regroup, take a step back, and start more slowly because you're not coming from an authentic place and it's noticeable. And so it's actually kind of shocking to me, but I think that's just how the world operates. I was watching something from Vishen from Mind Valley, and he was talking about personal development at 4 different levels. And the majority of people are at level 1, meaning they pretty much have no personal development and they blame other people or they're victims, and they really just aren't even at the beginner stage, or maybe they even read like one self-help book and they think they know it all, and then nothing really changes. So anyhow, so kind of was going all together with that and in regards to the examples that I was thinking of when I was on my walk. So I have seen leadership say that their company has certain values, and they based those values upon something they feel is going on out there in their organization. And it's kind of like they just made it up, to be really honest. Maybe made it up over a few cocktails on a cocktail napkin or something. You hear those stories back in the day. And instead of really taking a deep dive and maybe taking some time thinking about your values, don't just repeat what you think is going on in your organization, because what's truly might be going on in your organization is people might be banding together just to get through the day or to solve issues on their own because management is not doing a great job. And that is exactly where this example stems from, is the reason why that value is popping up is because management doesn't do a good job of truly sharing things and really being there for them, for the team, from an authentic space. Being there for the team from an authentic space. And that comes from the top. That comes from the top. And years and years and years of people seeing that, it really becomes ingrained in the culture and people recognize it. They might not speak up, and you're always going to have those people that are Kool-Aid drinkers, but the majority of people do see that. And a lot of people feel stuck in a paycheck or feel like, hey, I've been doing this so long, I don't feel like changing. They might be close to retirement, so they're like, just deal with it. And so they end up finding other tools or ways to get through the day, to get their job done, to try to make some money, especially if they're commission-based sales reps. So that's number one. If you're trying to reevaluate your value statement about your business, whether or not it has to do with just things that have happened during COVID or even things that are now happening during Black Lives Matters, especially if you don't even have any African American people on your team, that's something to look at too. How did that happen? How do you not have anyone in management that is of a different race? Whether it could be any race. I think all lives matter, to be really honest. All lives matter. So Chinese, Indian, anyone, all lives matter. So that's something to think about too. The next thing is, it has been shocking to me when I've been speaking with sales reps, how many sales managers have never reached out one-on-one with a phone call, and most even with an email, to check on that person to see how they're doing. Unbelievable. We have been in COVID now for 3 months, and the stories are endless. How can a sales manager who's likely still getting paid, maybe they have a pay cut, but they're likely still getting paid, and they really don't have that much to do, not reach out to individually to the people on their team to say, hi, how are you? How are you feeling? How is your business? How's your territory? Is there anything I can do for you? And we all know they can't solve COVID and they can't, make business bounce back, but maybe there's something else that could be a great suggestion. And it's shocking to me. And now with all the protesting, it's kind of like, oh, they're digging deep and trying to now be a little bit more personable. But that's really not a deep dive because you weren't doing that from the beginning, and everyone sees through that. So you can't just all of a sudden send out a post or an email or some little quirk or motivation quote and think that everyone's going to be on your rah-rah side. It doesn't work like that. You have to build these relationships over time, and you have to be authentic and be doing it from the beginning, not just 6 months later, a year later, 5 years later, 10 years later. You have to be doing it from the beginning. So if all of a sudden now you're trying to do that, take some baby steps. So people really see that it's coming from an authentic place, and maybe have that discussion. Maybe say, hey, you guys, I know I could have probably done some things better as a leader and as your manager. And this time has really opened my eyes to how I could become a better leader or better manager. And I want to work with you. So give me your suggestions and your feedback so I can do a better job. And then my third thing that I want to talk about is just, if you're a sales rep, if you're someone that works for a company, whether you're commissioned or not commissioned, you need to be thinking of yourself during this time. And anytime you need to be thinking of yourself, because, when COVID started, so many sales reps were let go within the first week. It was crazy. And now those businesses are saying, oh, we're in great shape. Yeah, because you let everybody go. Or you cut their commission to where they're barely making any money and they're in poverty now. But they're still expected to travel and do the job for you. So if you are that person, think about yourself. Think about a plan B. I'm not saying quit your job right now, but think about it. Sit and think about it. Sit and think about, how did that make you feel? What is your goal in your life? What are your goals? What are your values? How do you feel about your own mental health? How do you feel about what you do for a living? How does that reflect on your family, your personal relationships, your financial relationships? Big one, right? So take this time still to think about that. Take this time to think about this as maybe you start to travel again. How did that company treat you the second that COVID came out? I know so many reps that were let go immediately. And I also know some reps that were commission-based that were let go immediately. Okay, they're commission-based. How did that even happen? So the salary ones, that makes a little bit more sense in terms of the grand scheme of things. But commission-based reps, how did that happen? So that's just a whole other caveat as well. So take this time to think about yourself. I hope this resonates with someone out there. I'm coming off my walk, so I'm pretty fired up. It's hot here in the Keys.
But these are things that I think really need to be said. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the confidence or the courage, number one, to speak up or to speak up for themselves. And if more and more people started speaking up for themselves and setting boundaries and really going for what they wanted in life, they would be so much happier. Again, if you listen to my other podcast, The Good Karma Success Coach, my intro is about how my husband and I lost our jobs at the same time in 2009, and we both had corporate jobs. And I'll never forget that experience. It was so much hard work, not just financially in figuring things out and moving to the Keys, but also on our relationship and at a mindset level and all the things that Ryan and I have gone through and worked on over the years. So it's a lot of work, I'm not going to lie, but at the end of the day, it's so worth it. It's so worth it to have the confidence and the courage and be able to set boundaries and stand up for yourself and know that, yeah, this might have changed or shifted, but I have the skill set to figure it out and go out there and make more money and find opportunities. Find money-making opportunities for yourself. So keep all of that in mind. If you ever have any questions, I would love to hear from you. My email is melinda@melindavanfleet.com. I am also a success coach, and I'm more than happy to have a quick call with you and see if you'd like to work together. I feel very passionately about all of these things. It's the core of my soul, and I would love to help anyone get through anything that they are feeling stuck with or frustrated with, because I know that if we can do it, you can do it too. Thanks for listening.